Wondering what life is really like on Canada's wild and crazy West Coast? This podcast is all about the people, the places, and Vancouver Island time. Together, we'll explore this island paradise, a combination of ocean, city, and country living. We'll meet the fabulous locals, such as the Fudge Fairy and the Chicken Lady, who have chosen Victoria and Vancouver Island as their home. And we'll learn what makes this place unique and special to those who live here. And now, your host of Vancouver Island Time, Jane Johnston.
Hi, everybody. It's Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun, host of Vancouver Island Time. I'm here with
Mary Chan.
And Mary Chan lives in the Fernwood area, which is just north and east of downtown Victoria. It's about half an hour to 40-minute walk. So you're originally from Vancouver. How did you transition to Victoria?
I started off living in Duncan, and I went to BCIT for a radio program, and I just randomly applied to radio stations all over the country, and the place in Duncan said, yeah, they'll hire me, and I said, okay, great. Then I looked on a map to figure out where Duncan was.
Which is just like an hour north of here. It's nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I worked in Duncan for about a year and a half, and then decided that it was time to move on to the next radio gig, and job landed here in Victoria, and I've been here ever since 2003. It's been a long time.
And so you came to Fernwood because you were looking for something walking distance to downtown. How did you discern Fernwood was the right place compared to other parts of Victoria?
When we were looking, we drove to different neighborhoods, and then we also got out and walked around and walked to downtown and just explored the different places. But I really felt a kindred connection to Fernwood because it felt like where I grew up back home in Vancouver in the Strathcona neighborhood, which was right close to Chinatown, and that elementary school was the downtown east side. And so I just... There were a lot of similarities that I really felt connected to.
You like the multicultural aspect?
Yes, because I am Canadian, born in Vancouver. However, I am Chinese. My parents are from China and Hong Kong. And now that I have a little 3-year-old, and so she is half and half, and I really wanted to keep that cultural connection for her. And I felt like this was definitely still the place that we wanted to stay and went to have our family.
Right. I'm an immigrant, too.
Where are you? From where?
Well, I'm the daughter of immigrants from Britain. My dad was actually born in Singapore. My mom was born in Wales, and they both grew up in Britain, and they both moved here in the 50s.
Wow. That's quite the whirlwind connection. Mm-hmm. Like how that all happened for you to happen.
Yeah, and they came with the, I think, intent of having a big family.
Yeah, and how many brothers and sisters do you have?
4.
Ooh, yeah.
Anyway, okay, so we digress. Yeah. I'm just wondering about, so tell me about Fernwood and what's great about Fernwood for families?
Again, I feel like the multicultural aspect. When she was just born, we went to George J. Elementary, the closest school nearby, and they have a Strong Start program, which is funded by the government. And when I went there to interact with the other families and the other little kids, it was like the world came to us. There was a child from a different country all over the world, and I really wanted to have that for her.
That's interesting because we lived at Pearson College, and one of the things that attracted me to living there was there were 80 countries represented.
Huh. I've never lived out in that area, so...
Well, for considering it's like rural Canada, yeah. So yeah. It's an enclave, I guess. It's a community in itself.
Huh.
Anyway, but I totally get it. Yeah. And so George J is a French immersion school, and so what's your decision around that? Exposing her or not?
I haven't decided yet. I have until, when do I have to register? January 2020. So 2 years. We're debating between the French immersion or putting her into Chinese school also, or doing both. I'm not sure yet. I know I haven't quite looked into or talked to other families about what they feel or how the kids felt about going through a French immersion program and how it worked for them.
So from my own personal experience, my son who's going into grade 12 next year, I just asked him that question because he's been in French immersion. So really French immersion, they blend it in. So it's not so bad a transition going in. It's not like they're all of a sudden French. And for the parents, they sometimes have support classes for us, but really you don't need to know French yourself.
Okay, that's good.
So don't make it a decision based on how you feel.
Yeah. Okay, but that's kind of hard still at the same time.
It's like sending your kid to art school, right? They have a specialty and, you can help them out, I think, in the first few years, but after that, their French becomes more advanced.
Okay. Yeah, I got time to think about it. I don't know yet.
Yeah, I think for me, I just like the fact that there's a choice for people anyway, because I think culturally too, you are going to get kids who are more diverse from different areas of the world because there are other French-speaking countries, and a lot of them do live here.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about more mundane and great things like food. Where do you go to eat?
I love to cook, first of all. I love cooking at home, and there's so many great places to get groceries and ingredients and things like that. Like just down the way here is the local grocer, which has a lot of locally made products and locally grown products. Up the way towards Gladstone and Fernwood is a great South African market called Aubergine. It's a lot of great things, including local produce too. And then we also like to go to Fairway Market, which is more in the Quadra neighborhood, but still very close by, 15-minute walk that I can go get all my Asian goods that I need.
I know they're quite good. They're owned by an Asian family.
Yeah, and so they started out mainly with Chinese ingredients, but now they've expanded to all of Asia, Southeast Asia. You can get anything you can think of. I host Japanese students or international students sometimes, and most of them are Japanese, and we'll try and make dishes from their home, and I can find most of the ingredients right at Fairway.
Do they go to that Japanese place on Shelburne, the sushi?
Fujiya? Oh yeah. Definitely.
It's so reasonably priced.
I had a Fujiya growing up too. It was close to my high school in Vancouver. I think that was one of the original ones. And so I loved it. Being as a student, it was right in my price point. And now even as an adult, it's still really, really good.
I know you can get like a huge thing of sushi for like $5 or $6.
Yeah. And it's of decent quality. It's good quality for that price.
Okay. So, what about in terms of entertainment for people who have kids? What is there to see and do in Victoria?
There are a lot of playgrounds. Having a 3-year-old, I love the community aspect where there's so many kids just down the block from me, and we all go out, not together, but we all always end up at the playground. And so you have that sense of an extended family here if you move here and you don't have that extended family. There's also the community center here, the Fernwood Community Center, that has a lot of programming for kids and youth, so not just young kids.
And there's a garden.
Yeah, there is the community garden here too. So if you don't have a plot, a backyard, you live in an apartment building or something, a condo, then you have access to that too, which is great. Yeah.
Plus, if you're a fan of chickens, because we're in Victoria, you can raise your own chickens, right?
Yes, my neighbor has some. And at first we didn't realize what that noise was. We had the window open, and one day we just hear, I'm like, what is that? Oh, chickens. We love it.
Unfortunately, they do attract raccoons, but
yeah, there is that. But I do like having access to eggs if they ever have any free.
Okay, I'm wondering, do you ever go downtown with your kids?
Yes. Yep. We do drive because it is a little easier with the 3-year-old. Or sometimes she'll ride her little push bike and we can walk. And she actually really likes taking the bus. So sometimes we'll take the bus downtown.
Do you go to the celebrations like Canada Day down there?
a little too busy for us and late for a 3-year-old for some of those. Well, I guess the Canada Day ones are all day. But yeah, if they are during the day, then we will go down. Sometimes I know, like St. Patrick's Day, there's a big thing on Government Street, and Halloween. They have a big Halloween thing downtown during the day for little kids. So we always take her down just to see all those things.
I find Victoria a very vibrant community, like lots going on, all sorts of festivals around food, entertainment. There was the Buskers Festival. The Canada Day is pretty good. Almost everybody goes downtown. They have they do have the celebration late at night, but during the day you can be a part of the Canada flag on the lawn and stuff.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, but I was part of they call it the living flag. I was part of the white part of top left-hand corner, I remember.
I think I was the red part. Anyway, okay. What about, is it easy to find babysitters here?
I am lucky that we got into the Fernwood Community Center's daycare there, and so she is at daycare during the day so I can work. But I also know some of my friends who live in the neighborhood. There are people who have licensed, non-registered daycare at their homes, so they can take care of your child too, along with their own. So there is access. It is hard to get on the list. Wait lists are big for anywhere in the city. I found when we were originally looking, I was, 4 months, 5 months pregnant, and my husband said we need to start getting on a wait list now.
Is he from Vancouver?
He was born in Vancouver, but he's actually from Hazelton, which is central BC in between Smithers and Terrace.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering because in Toronto, it would be like, get in the daycare, sign up, like as soon as your child's born.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I didn't know that, but he was talking to some of his coworkers and friends, and they said, you did right now. And I hadn't even told a lot of people yet that I was pregnant, but here we are going to places for daycare and signing up. But we got in. We got in the month that we wanted to, and we didn't have any issues.
Yeah, I find too, if they like you, they're willing to bend.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
We went to a home daycare, which I really enjoyed it. And she's almost like the kid's grandmother now.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And when we eventually moved off of the campus from Pearson College to our own home, she was just around the corner. And funny story, my daughter says, I can walk. It's only 2 blocks. And I said, okay. And so she walks the end of the driveway and she's like, which way do I go?
So fiercely independent. I love it.
Yeah. So, what about in terms of sports and stuff for your kids? Is she in T-ball or anything like that? Swimming lessons, diaper dive?
Ooh, diaper dive. I haven't heard of that. But yeah, my husband loves to take her to like the drop-in swimming. So they've been doing that since she was 12 months.
Is that at Crystal Pool?
Yep. There's Crystal Pool, which is close by. But he really, really loves the main Saanich Commonwealth, because it's got the big pirate ship and all the decorations and the waves and things. So they really, really like it out there. But they do go to they did the formal lessons at Crystal Pool first.
Right. Yeah, and I find there's lots of choice with that. Do you guys access the libraries?
We love the libraries, all about library books. And we like to go to the library book sales all the time, too. So then she can pick out her own books and we give her a little bit of money and then she can buy her own books and she feels so independent.
They do that when you get to elementary school, too. Just be aware.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
So you know those things you filled out, the kind of cartoony type things with pictures of books in it that you paid money for? They still do that.
Oh, okay.
Scholar something?
Scholastic?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So if you want more information about the Fernwood area, contact me. I'm Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun. In the meantime, in a minute, we're going to be back with Mary and we're going to talk about her business and find out what it's like to work from home and run your own podcast. So stay tuned.
Vancouver Island Time is brought to you by the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun, Victoria, where we bring local expertise and global presence to your property.
Hi, everybody, it's Jane Johnston with the Bar Hill Group at Remax Camosun and host of Vancouver Island Time. I'm here with
Mary Chan.
And Mary, what's your business?
I have a podcast production company called Organized Sound Productions.
What do you do exactly?
I help female entrepreneurs create a podcast. So a podcast is a great marketing tool for your business and to really connect intimately with listeners.
Do you recommend people videotape their podcasts? Like me?
Traditionally, if you're a traditionalist, a podcast is strictly audio. However, a podcast is such a great way to reach other platforms, and video is just another extension of that. So if that's something that you love to do, why not?
So you come to this from what kind of background?
I have a radio background. So I went to BCIT in Vancouver for the radio broadcasting program and graduated back in 2001.
You enunciate very well. Is that a skill they teach you?
I think I've always had that. And then that was a skill that I eventually just honed in on. Yeah.
Okay. So how did this business get started and why women entrepreneurs?
The business started because back in early 2018, I was actually downsized from my radio job. I had worked at a couple radio stations here in town for 15 years. And because it was owned by a big corporation, they decided to take what I did, which was making the commercials and having that done out of Vancouver. And so I lost my position. But what I did was there would be a salesperson who would go to a business and make that sale, then give the information to a writer, write a script, and then I get that script. And I loved finding the right voice, directing people to voice that commercial, whether it be an announcer in the building or myself or a client who would come in and find the right music, find the right sound effects, and then just create what I would call these 30-second movies. Vignettes, exactly. And I loved doing that. And so when I got downsized, I just kept thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to stay living in the city that I loved and I didn't want to move anymore and still do what I loved? And so I decided, oh my gosh, I listen to podcasts. I should help people create them. And I really want to focus a lot more on women entrepreneurs because there are so few women that actually host a podcast in the grand scheme of all the podcasters out there. And women's voices really should be heard, but a lot of the times women lack the self-confidence or the self-worth. Yeah. And they think, oh, I don't really have much to say.
They're self-deprecating.
Yeah. And they shouldn't be. Everyone's voice is... Everyone's got some spirit. Everyone's got some passion. What is that?
I find a lot of people are afraid to even come here and do this. I'm calling it a show now, because they don't like the sound of their own voice and they don't like the look of their face as it's moving on camera.
And I find that too, especially when I worked in radio. When clients would come in, they would voice their own commercials and they'd be so afraid. I'm like, oh, I'm so nervous. I don't know. Oh, how am I going to sound? And really, how you sound to yourself sounds very different to how somebody else sounds because your head is like a speaker box. Your voice resonates through all the bones in your head differently than how somebody else would hear it. So how you think you sound is not necessarily how you actually sound.
Yeah, it's funny. I have two sisters and we look similar. And when we talk on the phone, all three of us at the same time, one of us will laugh and the other one will go, who's laughing? Because we all have the same voice.
Yeah, my sister and I are very much the same too. But I think people also say I enunciate a lot more clearer than she does, so they know it's me.
So, how do people get involved with you?
Well, if they want to reach out to me, I'm on Instagram or on my website, and then we just talk about what your big ideas are. What are your big goals? How do you want to create your own show? And how it is that I can help you attain those goals and make that happen for you.
So I think, to me, the issues, there's a few issues. So one is about finding a topic of interest to people. The other is developing the connections to find the guests. And then the third is the checklist of production. And then the fourth is actually promoting it. So do you help them with all of that process?
I help them with most of that. I find that the promoting part isn't really my strong suit, but I can help guide you into the right directions. But definitely figuring out your topic and really honing in on what it is that you want to talk about. And some shows aren't necessarily interview shows like this one. You could also create a show that has more of a narrative style, so more storytelling and more sound effects and music. Or it can just be your own solo show. If you are really passionate about something that you think that a listener will want to listen to, then we can make it happen.
Like Gary Vaynerchuk and wine.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, exactly. So, I can help with all aspects of that and all the technical stuff. A lot of women are really scared of technology. And really, essentially, it's just a microphone, really.
How easy is it to get started?
It can be very, very simple, such as having your phone and recording right into it. Or it can be a lot more complicated, but I can help streamline that.
Do you help them choose their equipment?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And really that is based on your budget and price point, because people get all daunted on, oh my gosh, there's so much to choose from. And yeah, you can sound great with a $60 mic. You can also sound great on a $400 mic. $1,000 mic. But it depends on what your budget is and how you're using it too, because some people like to do the one-on-one interviews live like this. Other people will just do a phone call type interview, so you'll just need a nice mic for yourself. Or some people like to do like a round table too, where there'll be 4 or 5 different people and you'll all need different microphones based on the room you're going to be in.
Mm-hmm. Do you find when I got into Vancouver Island time, the person who helped me was with the Women Network, which is how I know you. The person who helped me come up with the name for the podcast, which was fun. And then they designed the card to go on all the sites and stuff. And I really appreciated that. They also connected me with a voice person to do my intro and outro. Do you do that for people?
I totally do. That's another thing that I also do on the side is I'm a voiceover artist. And so if you want your podcast introduction voiced by me, I can do that. Or some people need voiceovers for e-learning tools, videos, video intros, your phone, business phone, messaging, on-hold messagings and things like that. So, yeah.
I find that the intro and outro makes it look more professional.
Yeah, and that really depends on how you want your show to sound. Some people are very particular the fact that this is my show. It should be all my voice. And I'm like, yep, if that's how you feel, then that's how we should brand it and how we should do it. Well, and I will just coach you on reading that script to make it sound big and bold, or however you would like. Or if you want that real professional touch to it, you should get somebody else to voice it for you.
Okay, so there are Facebook groups for podcasts. Just wondering, what do you find are popular topics right now, or do they change?
They do change, but I find right now the popular topics really are what your business is, because podcasting is such a great marketing tool for your business. It's whatever your business is, and then you talk about aspects of that to create the market for it. Oh, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So you're using the law of attraction.
Yeah, exactly. And so actually, the funny thing right now is that with the law of attraction, the people that are attracted to me have been more spiritual healers. I have an astrologer. I have a yoga teacher as a client. I have somebody who is a spiritual healer that just contacted me the other day. And I just find that it's very interesting that those types of industries are coming to see me. And that is a big one too. There are a lot of meditation podcasts. I had somebody who does affirmations, and they're just short 10 10-minute little podcasts that are weekly. So yeah, that's a big up and coming thing for podcasting too.
You also live in Fernwood.
Right. I forgot about that aspect.
And a lot of women in the eWomen Network are nurturers and tend to be in those fields.
That makes sense. Okay. I like your more scientific stat approach to it.
I do find though, like I listen to the radio all the time, and I listen to the CBC podcast. I like the story aspect. To me, it's the human aspect, and really understanding like what's behind the scenes of what's going on. It gets more in depth, I think.
Yeah, I find that podcasts, as opposed to radio, or at least commercial radio, where there's mostly music and then people talking. With that, they're very structured and restricted. They're told when to speak, what to say, and how to say it. While with podcasting, you are your own boss. It's your show. If you want to spend 30 minutes on one subject, you can, and you can really dive deep into it. And then your listeners, when they're listening, they're either in their car, having a shower, in the bathroom. Like you're in really intimate settings with your potential listeners and then potential clients if you were trying to market your business.
Is there an ideal length of time?
No, it's whatever you want it to be. Some people say, oh, I don't want a 1 hour show because I don't think people have enough time to listen to 1 hour show. But say if you're on the Colwood Crawl for half an hour, you listen to half an hour of it on the way home, and you listen to the last half on your way back, or on the way to work and on the way back, right? So people do make time for it. If your show is great, they will make time for it. And that's the other great thing about podcasting. They've already chosen you.
That's so interesting, because I've actually gotten clients from it. And after watching me on video, they know all my mannerisms, which is a bit freaky. But also they also go to the people who I've chatted with because they now know, like, and trust them. So they know who they're going to get their hair done with, who they're going to get their makeup done with, who they're going to have as their dog walker or whatever, who's going to paint their house.
Yep, because it is a really intimate platform, and they feel like they know you. They're your best buddies.
Yeah, I had a client come in and write an offer, and I never met her, but she knew all about me.
And that's what podcasting is all about.
Okay, so how do people get in touch with you for podcasting?
Organizedsound.ca.
And is that your Instagram handle too?
Instagram is Organized Sound Productions.
Okay, and phone number?
250-514-2777.
Okay, and if you want information about the area that Mary's from, called Fernwood, let me know. My name's Jane Johnston. I'm with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun. Take care and have a great day, and welcome to the neighborhood.
Welcome to the neighborhood. We hope you have had some insight into West Coast living. If you know of someone or someplace that should be highlighted in our podcast, we'd love to hear from you. Please go to vancouverislandtime.com and click on our Connect button. See you next week on Vancouver Island Time with Jane Johnston.